Well, we'll see how those results affect the Premier Division table later in the show. But first, we're going to look back on last Friday night's action when Shelbourne were finally crowned Eircom League Premier Division champions.
A 2-0 win for Shelbourne, their 19th of the campaign. The full-time whistle meant celebration time for the fans, but for the players, an anxious wait. And then confirmation, defeat for Bohemians at O2 Park, Shelbourne the Eircom League champions.
Oh, it's brilliant, it's unbelievable. Words can't describe it now.
Unbelievable, great year for me, great few months for me at Shelbourne. I mean, I always said we had a great team here, everyone said it and we proved it, champions.
Yeah, it's just a great feeling, absolutely. We worked all year for this, you know. I'm just delighted with it, you know, as you can see. The reaction of the crowd is just brilliant, unbelievable, great, man.
I think we always had a spirit and a belief that we could do it. We took a lot of knocks during the season, getting knocked out of Europe and the FAI Cup within the space of 2 weeks, but we kept bouncing back. I think we won 5 league games on the trot after that. And even after Bows beat us twice, we still came back from that. So there was just a belief there and carried us through to the end.
We didn't expect to win it tonight. We were hoping that we would, but we didn't really think. We were just looking after our own result. Fair play to both. They pushed us all the way in the end. They came back well, but the words can't describe how I feel. I'm absolutely delighted. After the last time when we won the league and there was so much with the whole patch thing, this time meant so much. Absolutely delighted. Absolutely delighted.
There was tension in the air as the match got underway, and Shelbourne knew the title was within their grasp. There was no love lost early on between Shell's skipper Owen Heary and Cork City manager Pat Dolan. It was the visitors who should have taken an early lead. Colin T. O'Brien playing the ball through to Ryan Casey, but he hit the outside of the post. Shelbourne thought they had taken the lead after a quarter of an hour. An Ollie Cahill free kick was flicked on by Kevin Doherty and finished off by Jason Byrne. However, the former Bray man was offside. 10 minutes later and they did have the lead. A long ball by Doherty was poorly dealt with by the Cork defence, and Jason Byrne's shot found the back of the net with more than a little help from a deflection. 1-0 to Shelbourne, and Byrne's 19th league goal of the season. It could have been 2 before the break. Richie Baker's cross was headed into the side netting by Byrne. Into the second period, and Shells exerted more pressure. The two Byrnes, Jason and Stewart, were thwarted by the Cork defence. Then Jamie Harris's long-range effort flew just wide of the post. They made it 2-0 when a deep ball by Dave Rogers was sent into the back of the net after a pinpoint header from Harris. His 6th goal since joining Shelbourne from St. Pat's in the middle of the season. Ollie Cahill threatened as Shelbourne mounted a counter-attack. Stuart Byrne's bad touch allowed Michael Devine to come out and block the ball. At the other end, Colin T. O'Brien almost snuck in with Rogers and Doherty beaten. Steve Williams made the save. A powerful run from James Nolan saw him advance towards the Shelbourne goal. He outpaced Tony McCarthy, but his shot was straight at Williams. As the second half wore on, news began to filter through that Bohemians were struggling against Drogheda and that the title could be heading to Drumcondra. Cork persisted in their efforts to get something out of the game. Michael Nwanko's cross caused mayhem in the Shells' defence. Behan's second attempt at the goal ended like their other efforts, straight at Williams. It was over soon after, a 2-0 victory for Shelbourne that was to guarantee them the 2003 league title.
Yeah, it's a fabulous feeling. It's where you play the game or where you manage is Detroit win trophies and league titles, and we've won it tonight, and it's fabulous for the people behind me and the players. They've worked really hard to get us where we are.
It's been a long, hard season. When you look back, has there been any particular turning points?
It's been a very long, hard season. I think probably when we played Rovers here, we were 2-0 down, we came back to win the game, sort of put a belief in the players that, you know, and in me, that there wasn't anything going to stand in their way, and they, you know, they were willing to stand up to anything that was thrown at them, and they did, and they did it very well. Since I've come in, I told them when I came in that if they work hard, they'll be rewarded, and they've been rewarded tonight. And there's fellas that have been here for a while, and that's probably three or four league titles they've won, and lads that have come in, and it's probably their first one. But they've been tremendous. Anything I've asked them, they've done. They've sacrificed a lot of stuff, you know, family-wise, and they've put a lot of stuff behind them, and just looked at concentrating on winning matches and training hard. And now they can have a little bit of time to enjoy winning the league title, Christmas at home with their family, and enjoy that as well, with knowing they have the medal in their pocket.
What does it mean to you now, winning it as a player and a manager?
I don't think it's sank in yet. You know, when you're a player, you can sort of let go and the emotions can flow, and you know, I'm just trying to keep myself together. But it's a fabulous feeling. It's the feeling of leading, you know, men or a team to win something is probably top what I've done as a player.
Yes, a huge night of celebration at Tolka Park, and Damien, it ended perhaps sooner than we would have thought, but with Drogheda doing their bit, Shelbourne did what they had to do, and deserving champions.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, basically they won more and lost less games than everybody else. That makes them the best team in the league. And I think when it came to the crunch towards the latter part of the season, it was the collective spirit of Shelbourne outlasted that of Bohemians. Bohemians have had a long, hard season, a long period in European football, which I think did them a bit of a disservice. But Shelbourne had finished top of the league and played very well and got better as the season came to an end.
It was the longest domestic season we've known in terms of the amount of games played, but in the end it was reward for consistency, I suppose, in that they lost only 4 games.
Yes, I mean, tonight was the 5th game, wasn't it? Up against Bohemians, they were a team that you were always fighting against. But the fact that they drew a lot in the early part of the season, which maybe held them back a little bit, Shelbourne. And whilst Bohemians were having a difficult period, Shelbourne could have put more ground between them. But Shelbourne really, at the end of it, held on very, very well. And the reason they got stronger was there was a freshness about them, that maybe they got a little bit more by going out of Europe earlier in the season, not staying so long. And all these things combined, ultimately it comes down to the players and the manager. And Shelbourne have done very, very well. As a club, from the directors, the management and the players, they deserve everybody's congratulations.
Well, we can take a look in a moment now at the goals from last Friday night, and they came from 2 men who proved key signings.
Yes, I think everybody's expecting this man to be a great signing, as he turned out. Jason Bourne, again, he's hitting the target here. That's hence when the deflection comes, he gets the break of the ball. He's done that a few times this year. He's very consistent in the shooting. He normally hits the target, and that one left Michael Devine no chance. And that was an important opening goal, obviously. This is a great ball in by Dave Rogers. A beautiful stooping header by Jamie Harris. But it's a lovely layback. But this move came at the back of about 5 or 6 passes. And in the second half, Shelbourne were very, very impressive. Perhaps the best I've seen them play all season. They swept Cork aside, and we can see now this is the tenterhooks period from the dressing room. But I mean, it's a lovely feeling of elation and great relief for the manager as well. But I think at the end of the season, because they're getting better and better, they deserved it. And Bohemians made a lot of ground up, but ultimately didn't have enough to get and keep the nose in front of Shelbourne.
Well, you see exactly what it means there to the players. And Pat Fenlon, to be fair, was at pains throughout the season to say that there was a side that did have character. Phrases such as chokers was going around, but you know, that was never going to be the case. There were key points in the season. They went out in Europe to Ljubljana on, I think, August 28th and came back and won 5 games in the league in a row, yes. And that would really put to rest any questions of character.
Well, I mean, character to me is an overused word in football. I don't know a League of Ireland player or a League of Ireland team who hasn't got character. It's the nature of Irish people that they have character, particularly in the sport. But it's the collective use of that character that's the important aspect of it. And when you go out of Europe very, very early, you're embarrassed and you want to make up for that immediately. They did that. They bounced back. They have a good environment. But then, if you think of Shelbourne over the last decade, 10, 11, 12 years, they've won loads of titles, loads of cups. They've been in every competition every year. There's great spirit there, but there's also a great tradition now, and they've been the team of the last decade. And what Pat's doing is continuing on that vein in very, very good form. And I think if Shelbourne then go and improve the team at the end of the season, they'll be an even better side next year, because the base is there to be something very, very special indeed.
And just a word on Pat Fenlon. He's won leagues now as player and manager.
Pat is a great pro. I mean, as a player, I signed him from Shamrock Rovers, Shelbourne, and because I needed somebody with his exuberance. He would never give up. Training was just as important to Pat as the games. And as a manager, he's taken the ethos into his players. And the fact that they're full-time also means that in many respects they're almost unbeatable now. And if you think of the attitude of Pat is wonderful professionalism, that ties in very well with what Shelbourne actually are. They themselves and Bohemians are the 2 best clubs in the country at the moment. Both very, very professional. But Shelbourne have been there, as I said earlier, for the last 10 years. And that's a very, very firm base to have.
OK, Damien, thanks for now. So as we now know, Bohemians' title challenge finally came to an end at O2 Park on Friday evening.